State your name.
I'm Ashley Trevino.
How you doing, Ashley?
Amazing. Just full of the joy of the Lord.
Yeah?
Yep.
Where are you from?
I am from heaven.
Okay. What brings you from heaven all the way down here to Sin City?
No, I'm from California, but I moved to Vegas after I prayed about going to school out here. And instead of going to school, God called me into full-time ministry. So that's what I'm doing now.
Full-time ministry?
Full-time ministry.
What does that mean for people who
That
don't
means serving Jesus, not just on Sunday, every single day.
Okay.
Yep.
Right on. That must be pretty scary, but
it
cool
is scary.
life.
It is scary because you're on the front lines of the army of God, and so, you know, the enemy's like shooting darts at you 24/7, you know what I mean? So it is scary, but you know what? It grows you, it strengthens you. You come out with some muscles like this, man. You know what I mean?
Right on.
Yep.
So, were you always on fire for God?
No, man. I was like, how do I say this without sounding too... Okay, so I was basically a stripper, and I was making money. That's what I was all about. I was about money. I was in a really abusive relationship, really unhealthy. Like, I couldn't get out of it. It was like, no matter what I did, I'd always end up back with my daughter's father, you know. And I just found myself broken one day, and I didn't have the strength myself, you know, to get out of the relationship. So just laying on my bed one day, you know, after my friend had told me about Jesus, and I was like, man, whatever, like, enough with this religious stuff. I'm cool, you know. And I looked over to the right-hand side, and on my dresser, I saw this book, God's Promises for Women. And I don't know how to this day it got there, but it was just there at the right time, right moment. I opened it up, and it just said, you know, seek and you'll find God. And so right there on my bed, I prayed. I was like, God, if you're real, then I need you to show me.
Yeah.
And I just felt the love of God come into my body, and I started just crying and praising God. And man, I was like speaking in tongues, man. I didn't even know, seriously, like,
you were that on fire.
I was that on, like, right away. And that's why I'm so radical for God. Like, people sometimes say, like, why are you so passionate? You know, like, you don't have to be so sold out, you know what I mean? Like, they just don't understand. But it's like God just radically saved me like that, so I have to radically serve God, like, with all my heart, with all my passion, you know? So
that's crazy.
Yeah.
Like, a lot of people, like, they say, oh, it was a process, like, it happened over a month period of time, but you're saying, like,
in an instant, like, in one moment.
That's crazy.
Yep.
Not too many times you hear that.
I know, man.
But one thing I do hear a lot in testimonies is people, like, who are far from God, they're having that moment where they say, if you're real. You
right.
know? And that if you're real question is, like, always, it's always there.
Yep.
It's like, if you're real, show me.
Yep.
And then he does.
It's like God, dude. He has, like, this pride thing, like, oh, okay, I'll show you that I'm real. That's really real.
You asked.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep. So.
And what is your life like now?
You know what? I'm not gonna say that it's perfect, you know, because I've even in my process, you know, I've backslid. I went back to clubbing. I even went back to dancing for a little bit. But now, you know, I wake up and the first thing I do is just ask God to come into my heart. You know, I ask God to lead my day, and it's more full of, like, worship and prayer and just actually pouring into people. You know what I mean? Because being in full-time ministry, I do have people that look up to me that, you know, need me, and even, like, the youth kids, and like mentoring them and stuff like that. So it's like constant, like, filling up of God and then pouring out, and filling up and pouring out.
Right.
You know?
It can be draining at times.
I'm telling you, man.
You don't get enough fill up.
Woo! Sometimes I'm like, run down empty. Yep. You go to the gas station. Ooh, Holy Spirit, what's up?
So what would you say to, like, those Christians out there? They've surrendered to Christ, but maybe they haven't, like, they haven't asked for the Holy Spirit yet. Maybe they're scared to speak in tongues. Maybe they're dealing with stuff like that. What would you say to them about the gift of tongues and prophecy?
Well, you know, that's a good question, because for me, it was like, how do you not understand it? You know what I mean? Because it's not like I was raised in church and all of a sudden, like, when I was speaking in this weird language, you know what I mean, that, like, I understood what it was. It was so crazy and so different that I was like, okay, this has to be real. Like, what happened to me was real, you know? It was God, yeah. And so when people don't understand it or they ask me that, I love telling them my testimony, because it's not like I didn't even know about church. Like, my grandma used to carry around a baby Jesus, and that's all I knew about Jesus. Like, that's all. You know what I'm saying?
So you've never like really ever been exposed to Jesus before?
No. Prior to my room, the only thing I had was like my grandma carrying around her baby Jesus.
That's great.
And it freaked me out. I was like, Grandma, put that thing away. I don't know what that is, but I don't need all that over here, you know? So
what is it about the baby Jesus that people like so much, and they don't like the grown-up Jesus?
what is it about the baby? I'm not sure. I don't know. What I like about the grown Jesus is he ain't dead, he's alive. You know what I mean? He's in heaven right now. He's real. So that's why, man, I mean, I think like the baby Jesus thing, it's like, you know, he's not a baby in a manger anymore, you know? Right. He's not a broken man on a cross.
Everybody likes to remember him as that little baby.
That's cute. I can't hate, you know what I mean? I can't hate. Honestly, right now, my mind is so open to, I don't want to say open to different religions, but it's like I'm not hating on people who don't perceive God the same way I do, because I believe that God can move in any way, you know what I mean? Like there's some people that are still drinking a bottle, you know, and God might speak to them through a billboard, you know what I mean? And then there's people who are mature in the Lord and they can hear the voice of God, you know what I'm saying, and tell you about yourself, you know what I mean? So I'm not hating, like, you know, baby Jesus, big Jesus, he's Jesus, man. You know?
That's what's up. Well, thank you for sharing.
Yeah. Love you guys. Love Jesus. Deuces.